Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Love of Life podcast. It has been roughly 6-7 months since we've had a podcast. It's been quite a while, and I don't know, I guess a lot has happened. We've had our 6th child, and it was quite an experience having him, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about that tonight, today, whatever time it is. I don't even know anymore. 6 kids, I don't even know what time it is.
Which way's up?
Or I don't know. Which way is up? So we just had baby number 6.
We did.
What was it? When was it? 3 weeks ago?
4 weeks ago today.
4 weeks ago today. Today?
Today.
Wow.
He was born on a Monday.
4 weeks ago today. Okay. So we had an accidental emergency home birth at our house. I guess that's where you have a home birth. Is that your house? And it was quite a 3 a.m. crazy experience.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you so back up. Our 5th child we had almost on the highway.
Yes.
At 2 a.m. 2 years ago.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Thankfully we made it to the hospital with that one.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because my labor was crazy fast with number 5. It was because I didn't realize my labor was going to be as fast as it was. I misjudged it.
You totally misjudged it.
Yeah.
You totally misjudged it.
Yeah, I went to labor earlier in the day.
I told you we had to go to the hospital, and you said, it'll be fine. We'll be there in the morning, and baby won't be here for another 10 hours or whatever it was you said.
I thought it was going to be much longer.
And instead, baby came at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, at 11 p.m. you wanted us to go to the hospital.
And we didn't. And we almost had a highway baby. Okay, so that was your first baby that you had all natural because we made it to the hospital so late, right? 15 minutes in time before baby came.
My whole thought process was get to the hospital, get the epidural. That was as far as I had thought about labor. And for 4 labors and deliveries, that was great. But yes, showing up, I mean, we got to the hospital and I asked if I could have the epidural, and they're like, we haven't checked you in. We haven't done anything. And then a nurse finally said she would check me, and my water broke. And she said, no epidural for you. You're about to have a baby.
Right.
But the thing was, like, you couldn't have convinced me before to try to have a natural birth. I had intended to with our first, and then, just definitely got the epidural and was like, that's the way to do it. But when we had Eden, our 5th, naturally, I couldn't believe how good the recovery was. Yeah. It was like just night and day. It was my best recovery by far. I mean, the fact that you can get up right after and walk around, like, I couldn't believe how much better I felt and how quickly. And it had been a prayer that I would have a good and quick recovery, just knowing I was coming home to 4 children and all that. It was like, well, that's not exactly what I thought I was praying for. But the Lord certainly answered my prayer. So anyway, that made me think going into this, I really wanted to have a natural birth because of how great the recovery was.
But you did not think you wanted a home birth.
No, I wasn't planning for
with firemen.
I have a wonderful OB. I was planning to have her at the hospital. Yeah, and there was all of these snowstorms. So my doctor did tell me that she was a chicken about driving in the snow. So if it was during a big storm, like, her backup would be there. And I thought, I hope it's not during all the snow so that she can be at the hospital. I was worried about my doctor not making it, not us not making it. But in prep for natural childbirth, I certainly listened to probably 50 hours of audio, just books about childbirth and pain management and natural, and my labor and delivery was 1 hour and 14 minutes. So like 50
really fast.
Yeah, of like preparing. And that's just audiobook preparing. We talked about it. Yeah. I was prepping you. I had all these like ideas, and I kept packing the cooking roller. Cookie roller. Yeah, a roller. I kept packing.
What's the cookie roller for?
Well, because you can use a roller like on a woman's back when she's in labor, and it can help her contractions. We didn't get to try it.
But we didn't do anything. But I did start reading some of the books about what I could do as your comforter and your support system and all of that.
Yeah, you were great.
I was somewhat aware of what to do. But, okay, so the night came.
Okay.
And
so, yeah, it was Sunday night. I mean, I just felt 9 months pregnant. Nothing significant. Had some back pain, but it was like, I've been having back pain. It didn't feel any different from anything. We go to bed, and then, yeah, I woke up and felt a contraction. It was like, I think that was a contraction. So I looked down at my watch. It was 1:54 a.m. And then my next contraction, it was like, wow, I'm gonna have to get on my hands and knees. Like, these are intense. Like, this hurts. Like, if I have hours of labor in front of me, like, I gotta get my mind wrapped around this because this labor just started and I already think it hurts. Like, I gotta adjust here and get a grip because I'm gonna be feeling this for a while. And if I'm already in pain, like, this isn't a good sign for how I'm gonna handle this. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
But you reached over and you're like feeling my arms and you're like, what? Is it time to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
Like, hop out of bed. I'm like, well, I've had like 2 contractions.
Yeah. You were on all fours.
Yeah.
Like an animal. Which is exactly how you were 2 years before.
Yeah.
When you were extremely close to giving birth.
I know it sounds weird, but it is an awesome position to labor in. That's all I can say.
I'm so happy
it's
I'll
pain,
never. I'm
it's
so happy.
Pain relieving. It's like going with gravity. It is, and yeah, with our 5th, I just naturally did that. I had never even heard about that being a thing, but then of course all the research I've done now
Is that like
it's a thing?
Is that a pregnancy yoga position?
No, it's just like a
is there a name?
Is
there a name for that? Is that like
hands and knees?
The antelope or some other kind of animal?
You should give it a name.
Okay,
yeah,
I will give it a name.
I don't think it has a name. But...
Okay, all right, I will give this a name. I'll have to think of something really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hop in the shower, and you're like, what? You're gonna hop in the shower? Like, we should be headed to the hospital. But I was thinking, I just need to relax a little, brace myself. Just, be ready for the long haul. Be ready for the hours ahead.
And at that point, you weren't. I mean, obviously, it's 2 a.m. You weren't thinking clearly, and you were way further along than what you even knew because your contractions were like just a few minutes apart.
Well,
but they were only a few minutes apart.
So yeah, as I'm prepping for the bath, I'm downloading an app to log my contractions, and I keep having contractions. You're like, are you having another one? I'm like, yeah. But it's still not registering to me that like actually means I'm at the end of labor, even though it just started. I couldn't wrap my head around that in the middle of the night and with all the prep I had done. I was prepared for hours of laboring. So yeah, I hop in the shower and I keep having contractions. They're like 2 minutes apart. My app's already telling me like head to the hospital. And so anyway, you were like moving around, getting stuff ready. You were prepared. You had started the truck. You were like, it's go time, even though I was not there yet.
Yeah.
Mentally to know, yeah, it's go time. And then you're like, should I call 911 or should we go to the hospital? And I said, I don't know. Call my mom.
Which I did. I called your mom.
Well, my mom was going to be there for the labor too. So you had called her as soon as we got out of bed. But yeah, then just trying to make the decision about.
It's a tough call. And the hospital was 35 minutes away from our house.
Yeah.
And knowing that your contractions are already that close, really not wanting to have a highway baby.
Yeah.
At 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But that would have been really precarious. But
it was like, no, I've been having contractions for 20 minutes. Like that. We really are at the place where we need to decide to call an ambulance. Like, that just was not registering to me. Yeah. So we prayed for wisdom. We prayed that we would know. And really, I was also at the place where I can't be making decisions. Yeah. Like, just, it was taking all of my concentration to breathe through my contractions.
Exactly.
So you decided.
So I called 911, and it was a completely surreal moment and experience of, telling them where we live and what's going on. And then the person on the phone basically saying like, okay, I'm going to start telling you how to deliver the baby in case they don't make it. And I'm thinking like, what? No, they're going to make it. They're going to make it, right? They're going to be here. It was really scary. Yeah, I mean, you were like wiggling and all fours on our bed and doing all kinds of interesting moves and things that you read about from all your books and stuff. So it was...
You sway. Helps move the baby down.
I turned on the Christmas lights really quick, and I was describing where our house was. We have a super long driveway, and it's kind of difficult to find us sometimes. And
there was ice and snow.
Amazon can't find us sometimes, and our friends can't sometimes find our house because we're kind of back in the woods. And so anyway, called them, and they were on the way. And so you're on the bed, and you're wanting me to press on your back.
Yes.
Why was I pressing on your back again?
Yeah, counter pressure on your lower back. Yeah. It's very, very helpful. It really relieves a lot of the pain. So yeah, you're manning the phone, and you're thinking about directions, and I'm like, Jesse, calling you to come back every time I'm having a contraction.
And at a certain point, I knew I had to unlock the front door, because at some point they're going to be at the house, and I really don't want to be further along with a baby's head popping out or whatever, and then having to run and leave you and have to unlock our front door because it's not exactly right. I had to run.
Yeah.
And it's, yards away. At 2:30 in the morning, your wife's about to have a baby. The front door seems very far all of a sudden. It's very odd. So had to unlock the door, and then they found the house, but they were on the side of the house.
Yeah.
And then the person on the phone is asking me, "Can you see the baby's head?" Can we talk about this or no? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I don't think we have to give every detail.
All right, well, I couldn't see the baby's head, but something came out that was like a water balloon. And as many babies as I've seen come out of you, I had never seen this before. And it was like this balloon that was doing this, which I came to later find wasn't a balloon. It was
the amniotic sac.
But I've never seen this. It hadn't popped. It was crazy looking.
Yeah, normally that's not how I flavored. So
it was very, very, it was, as far as a science experiment went, it was the most intriguing night of my life. Far more intriguing than 10th grade biology, I will say. It was like the culmination of all science I've ever read and studied. This was it. This was anatomy. This was exactly everything that was like,
live,
wow.
real life.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Yeah. It was pretty amazing. So they finally get here. And so...
The baby's crowning.
The baby is crowning. Mm-hmm. The head is starting to protrude out. Mm-hmm. And I remember feeling, I told you this the other day, there was a real sense of, like when you're playing a Nintendo game or whatever, and it's a timed level. And there's this sense of like, there's only like 2 minutes to go. This is the end. You've got to something has to happen. The firemen have to be here, or this baby is coming. You just could feel it, the presence of the thing happening in the room.
No stopping it.
No stopping. It was coming, no matter what. And it was, So the baby's crowning.
Yep.
And then what?
The firemen walk into our bedroom right then.
Right.
And they're asking me to kind of change positions. I acquiesced a little. So that was part of my I wanted to labor not on my back. So I was like, I'm going to lay on my side. And they didn't give me any grief about it. They let me do what I wanted. But so his head came out easily, but then his body was having some trouble. And
he was stuck.
He was stuck, yeah.
He was stuck.
Shoulders were
with
stuck.
His shoulders. He was, from my vantage point, holding your leg, he was blue. He wasn't breathing yet when he came out. And the fireman is describing what's going on, the main fireman, the head fireman. And he was saying that the cord is wrapped around his neck. And again, there's no breathing, there's no sound, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And his head is just out. And so they're preparing oxygen for Noah. And they're starting to give him oxygen because they're pretty concerned at that time that he's not breathing and you needed to push.
Yeah, which I was pushing. I was also doing a tremendous amount of screaming, which I did not do with Eden. So I don't know. But, I was pushing. But then later I was thinking, how much pushing could I have been doing with all the screaming that was happening? Yeah. It is kind of a weird... Those are sounds I've never made outside of labor.
No, and ironically, sure. I was trying to text her mom while the baby's head was coming out. And I accidentally hit the sound record button of all things. I did not mean to do this, but the user error turned out to be kind of cool because we have 4 minutes of Courtney screaming her head off.
Yeah,
you're pushing,
it was
and
kind
then
of like
baby
a
comes
moan
out.
Scream,
it was
sounded
like a
an
wounded
exorcism.
animal. Okay.
Yeah, or a wounded animal.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so I know I pushed for 4 minutes.
You did. So that's the thing, 4 minutes. From the time that those guys got here, the firemen got here, to the time baby came out of you was 4 minutes.
Oh, and here he is.
And there he is. Finished product.
Oh, he's so cute. Yeah, 4 minutes. But they were I could hear they were saying like, they were saying things about the cord, and they were telling me like, okay, keep pushing. You really need to push him out. And at one point, the fireman even said like, if you have any strength left in you, you need to push. And so it was like, I'm trying with all my might to push, and I can tell there's a problem, but it's also like, because what's happening in my own body is so consuming. It's like far removed. It's like somebody is whispering it in another room, like, hey, there's a problem. Yeah. It's like, I'm aware, I'm doing what I can, but I'm also not like feeling, I'm not emotionally responding to it either. Yeah. Like, it's just what I was feeling was overwhelming. But yes, praise the Lord. I pushed him the rest of the way out, and then I look up and I'm like, wow, this is just so surreal. That there were all these firemen, and I'm in my room, and I just had this baby, and wow, he's blue. And I'm like touching his head, and I had my phone right by me because I was still like counting my contractions. Like, I don't know why the firemen are there. Like, it's go time, but just like habit, I guess, you're still counting them. I'm like, this is weird, but I'm going to take a picture. So like I grab my phone and I take one picture with just a couple of the firemen that are just like whatever in my purview. And then I tip my phone down just a little to get Noah's head and stuff in there.
Yeah, he's still blue.
He's still really
I don't know how you were
blue.
cognizant at that point and aware enough with it to actually do what you did.
I know.
Because I'm like, you just took, like an hour later I saw the picture. I'm like, you took this like right there in bed?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, I know. I think it was the perfect combination of that. My phone was right there, and looking up, it was like, this is just too weird to not photograph, even though I kind of feel like it's weird to photograph it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
how weird was it, real quick? How weird was it that instead of a bunch of female nurses, your female doctor, to be surrounded by a bunch of dudes in your room?
Yeah. So I'll say in the moment,
for those that might eventually have a home birth, an accidental emergency home birth, like we did.
Different if you plan it and you have a midwife.
It's totally different then. But I'm just saying, like, for you as a woman, what's that? You don't feel it in the moment, right? You don't think about it
in the moment. I didn't care. In the moment, it was like, great, there's help. Because, I did think about having you look up a video about just like a dad home birth, just in case that was our situation, especially because we had all this ice and snow, and it was like, what if there's a scenario where we can't get out? And that also had mentally prepared me for like, well, if we're really stuck, we'll just call the fire department. I didn't think that would happen, but it was like, if that's the worst case scenario, okay.
Right.
Cool. Like, that's fine. So I that was good to have been mentally prepared, because if you had said that with Eden, I'd be like, can I get an epidural? Are you kidding? Like, no, I don't want anything to do with that.
Right.
Yeah. So in the moment, no, I didn't really think about it. It was like,
no. Yeah,
again, you're just consumed with this process that your body is doing. But after, then it was kind of weird. And then they did end up transferring us to the hospital. So I went from a room filled with men to this hospital room filled with women, nurses, doctors, a midwife. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is bizarre to have just been looking around and seeing all male faces, and then now having all female faces. Like, the men did great coaching me and stuff, but it's very different than OB nurses who have done this 1,000 times versus the fireman who this was his third delivery. He was wonderful, but it's just a different, they're like in your face cheering and,
right.
They're women.
Well, you've got your doctor who's delivered probably over 1,000 babies.
Yeah,
and then you've got the guy who came to our house who was wonderful and great, and we got to talk to afterwards, and we even got to meet and thank days later.
Yeah.
But that was his third delivery.
Yeah,
that was baby number 3 for the guy. So it's a little bit. I remember when he first came here, and of course I'm not even in my right mind at 3 a.m, and I'm like, have you ever done this before? Have you done this before? Please tell me you've done this before. And he's like, yeah, this is like my third. I'm like, okay, better than one. Like, I'm happy this isn't your first one.
Yeah.
Okay, but they also wheeled you out on a stretcher on our front lawn.
But I will say the contrast of the men and the women are, well, what you'd expect. Like, just, oh, honey, and this and that. And like, it was definitely the feminine touch being surrounded by the women. The way they talk to you, the way that they do things. It was a cool thing to get to see back to back. Like, men are way more like, okay, what's necessary? Let's get it done. They're task oriented, and the women were way more like motherly, maternal.
Men and women are different, aren't they?
They're so different. So I wanted to ask you, because your perspective was different than mine. I was not able to really process things as they were happening, but you were.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you?
Yeah, to see him purple, knowing that the cord being wrapped around his neck was, and it does happen, we've read and heard, of course, before, but seeing that there was no oxygen coming out, 3 a.m, or there's no oxygen, and there was no sense of him breathing at all, no cry. There's no cry from him. There was just a real sense of, oh, this could end in tragedy. This could really end in a complete, like, wow, the most joyous moment and occasion is to give birth, to have a baby, to see a baby come in this world. And then to actually not hear a cry from him was really alarming. And I just remember saying, please, Jesus, out loud, in front of the firemen. I don't know if they're Christians or not, it doesn't matter. It's like,
It's on the video recording, actually.
It's on the audio recording, but it is pleading with the Lord out loud, not, being normal about it. But overall, it's like, wow, like, and yeah. And then there's that psalm that we found, which is all about, David, basically.
Psalm 18.
Yeah, Psalm 18, about how that there was the cords of Sheol were wrapped around David, were entangled around David, and he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord heard his cry, and he bowed the heavens and he came down. And it was kind of that, in that moment of all of a sudden he's okay, and then he's crying. It's like, wow, the Lord really did hear that prayer. The Lord really did hear that moment of time of, whoa, I've never seen this before, with the first 5 kids having a cord wrapped around a neck. Not to say these firemen were inexperienced, but they're obviously not as experienced as your doctor and such, and it being a more precarious situation of a home birth. It was far more troubling in that particular moment to see that complication arise, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the gravity of it didn't hit me until later. Then realizing, oh my goodness. And one of the firefighters told us that he looked at his watch. When they entered our bedroom, it was 3:04. He was born at 3:08.
Yeah.
So
4 minutes.
4 minutes. So I think we spent, I don't know, days talking about all of God's providential hand that we couldn't see in the moment, but like right after, we were going, oh my goodness, that the Lord did give us the wisdom that he did right when he did for you to call 911, because had you waited 5 minutes trying to decide, they would have been here that much later, and we didn't have an extra 5 minutes. Really.
We didn't have 5 minutes. No,
we didn't.
It would have been too late. I mean, I would have been doing it by myself with the person on the phone saying, okay, here's what you do with the cord wrapped around a baby's neck.
Been so scary.
Which would have been far more alarming.
You were cool and calm through the whole thing. It would have been harder probably to have your wits about you, knowing it's on you.
Right.
Because I wouldn't have been any help.
Right. You just have been pushing.
Moment. Yeah. And the firefighters also said, they were so glad they were at the firehouse and not on a nonsense call, not out. Yeah. Because that could have been the case. And they couldn't have gotten right here because we don't live that far from the fire department. But had they been out on a call, then they would have been further away. It would have so many things like that. It was like, oh, wow, that was just perfect. And
Right.
Yeah.
And then my sweet grandma had the idea of sending them a thank you card and gift cards and all this stuff. So she went up to the firehouse the next day and presented that to them. No.
Yeah, she got their names.
She got their names, and then a few days later, when they were back on a shift, she gave them cards and gift cards. And it was just a very kind, very sweet gesture of my grandma to do that.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, we went with her.
Then we went with her.
So we could meet them and thank them in person.
Yep. And then they put something out on Facebook about what had happened on their
with all of us.
on their personal blackjack fire protection Facebook. And then somebody from a local news station saw it and was like, "Whoa, this is a cool story." So then a few days later, a local news station interviewed us and interviewed the firefighters, and that got on the news. And yeah, just crazy turn of events.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because it's just good that the baby's here, happy and healthy.
Yes.
But at the same time, in the moment, it would have been like, I wish we had made it to the hospital. But I will say he's got a really cool birthday story to tell every year now that we'll be able to regurgitate this story of, hey, this is how you were born. Like, this is pretty cool.
The kids are like, oh, our story is boring compared to his.
No.
Yeah, we're very thankful the Lord gave him safe passage into the world, and we're very thankful to the firefighters that
very
arrived
thankful.
Just in time and had the equipment that they needed and the know-how and yeah.
So I did check. It's been 8 months since we had our last podcast.
8 months.
It's been 8 months. It's been over half a year.
Wow.
But we are planning on having at least once a week podcast now. Hopefully, we're back. So hopefully we record once a week and it will be in a timely manner. That is the goal and that is the hope. And then also to line up future interviews with some people. We have some people in mind. So stick around for that and like, share, subscribe. And thank you all very much.
Yep. Thanks.